How we doing today, folks? Welcome to another exciting installment, and not to mention that it is the Thanksgiving Day installment of the Paid in Green Peppers podcast. I am Patrick Hite.
I am Shane Aden.
And we are your hosts on this lovely adventure.
And former friends.
Former friends. Now really just colleagues, I suppose.
No.
Because after watching these films...
no, just a
split.
Angry adversary.
Don't let him fool you, folks. He's way madder than he sounds.
Oh, you have no idea. In order not to do explicit thing, I am holding back all the curse words, which are multiple, multitudinous, vicious, raw, painful.
There's an iron will, an iron constitution, this one. He knows it's a family.
Which I had an iron bar hit you with.
You could never hurt this noggin. It's made of titanium, I believe is what I was told.
I'll give it a try.
Baby with a steel head.
I will give it a try.
Franken baby.
It's something. Oh, dear God. All right, well, see, look, you made me talk about the movie last time. I'm going to make you talk about the movie this time. I do not have it in me. Well, okay, first off.
That was really terrible, Matthew McConaughey.
We're 45 years old.
Correct.
Right. And we met when, third grade?
Third grade, yes, sir.
And so we were 8 at the time?
Yes,
about
that is correct.
So,
because our birthdays are very close as well, the 19th and the 27th.
Yeah,
which makes you the old man.
Why don't you just go ahead and give our social security numbers out there too?
Okay,
shut up. No, so
the public wants to know.
Like 30. What's the math on that? 30 some odd years.
You're asking me to do math.
Yeah, like 36, 37 years.
30. Let's go with that. 37 years ago.
Yeah, and as long as you've known me, have I been a person who believes in God?
Yes.
No more.
Absolutely.
No more.
This film.
This
stop movie, that right.
This movie,
tracks, right?
And it's not that it's the horrificness of the film itself has caused me to just question the existence of a loving and caring God, which it kind of did, but it's the whole religious overtones. And it reminds me of when my wife's aunt speaks of God. I think maybe I should not believe in something that she believes in. She's so horrible.
Because you don't really respect your aunt, is what you're saying.
Well, my wife's aunt. I don't even.
Oh, your wife's aunt.
You're right.
Sorry, I take that.
Right. So that's that whole thing is anything associated with if anything that bad associated with God. I'm thinking it brings down God. Doesn't bring them up.
It was a really, if someone was not familiar with what God truly is, to see this film, they would be very confused and think, okay, what's this all about? So I can see where you're coming from. This movie is not a shining endorsement on church or religion or
I'm not sure if it was God. Because I just couldn't bring myself to research this one very much. It was so foul.
Thanksgiving turkeys. Yeah, I know. I had to go there.
So It was just.
You folks will understand where we're coming from when we start
if it was a Christian-based thing,
right,
or what. And this is sort of like the really bad version of the Baptist church basement rock and roll is evil sort of thing.
Yeah, really. I got that vibe from this.
I mean, before we get into it, it's like those internet memes where you have someone that shows someone that burnt up and they smoked one marijuana and this is what happened. This is what this whole movie is. It's a 90-minute long or an hour and 45-minute long meme of what happens if you take a marijuana. If you take a marijuana, this is what happens to you. This is worse than reefer madness. This is worse than really anything that I've come across as far as life.
It's not a super great film. It's not a super great anything. Is it worth watching once? I
No.
say yes.
No.
You say I understand. I understand. It's 86 minutes, by the way, folks. So don't worry. It's not going to take 90 minutes of your life to watch this masterpiece.
Yeah, well,
86 minutes.
No, because it'll take you longer than that because you have to get up and throw up every once in a while. If you're gonna
They make barf bags for that sort of thing.
You need to take a break, smoke some pot, calm yourself down.
Don't do that. Do not listen. He's just disgruntled because this film will do that to you. But if you watch it with just sort of the idea that this was made to be serious, and I believe it was, but it really falls incredibly short of that mark, then you'll be okay. You'll be okay. It was made, a shining point of this film, it was made in the illustrious year of 1972, which Shane and I both hold in high regards. I won't go into any details.
Well, you already given the birthdays. I mean, good Lord. Right? We already said our day. Already you gave our birthdays. We're giving our ages. Gee, can anybody figure that one out?
I'm not passing out DNA samples here. I mean, it's just the way, eye color, any of that. But, no, this movie, have we even said the title yet of this film? The film is called Blood Freak from 1972. And it was written by Brad F. Grinter and Steve Hawkes. It is starring Steve Hawkes, Dana Cullivan, Heather Hughes, and Bob Courier. And if you're scratching your head going, I'm not really familiar with any of these people, well, were you? I wasn't. I didn't know who
Why would I be familiar with any of these?
Well, maybe you were a huge Brad F. Grinter fan. That's who directed it, who helped, write it. And
is that the Richard Boone looking dude that appeared every once in a while giving himself lung cancer?
That is him.
Okay.
Yes, that is him.
So, well, all right.
Should we give some facts first, or should we just jump into the plot and give some facts later? What do you think? I'm going to give you a chance to...
It's too early in the morning to drink, isn't it? Okay.
It is. I have a cup of Joe waiting on you.
Go ahead. I'll Irish up that coffee behind your back. You go ahead.
Well, first of all, we'll start off with some facts. The characters of this film, pretty much three main characters. Herschel, who is
not the guy from The Walking Dead.
No, not that Herschel. This much more famous Herschel from this film. Herschel, played by Steve Hawkes. Angel, played by Heather Hughes, and Anne, played by Dana Cullivan. So these are the stars of this 86-minute masterpiece. Now, the director / narrator / partial writer is Brad Grinter, who was born in Illinois in 1922.
Oh, great. Another strike against Illinois.
And he died in 1993. I don't know if it said anything about him
Hopefully
dying
in Illinois to
from lung cancer, because the few times you see him in this film...
He's smoking constantly.
Smoking constantly. I don't understand if that was for kind of a Rod Serling-esque kind of thing, or just ambient. I don't know what it was supposed to be, or if he was just heavily addicted to nicotine. I don't really know.
I'm going to go with he was a chain smoker.
I think you're right.
Given the ending of this movie, which we'll get to eventually.
Not soon enough is kind of what I'm thinking.
That's what I was thinking the entire time it was on.
But the movie was produced by Grinter, directed and narrated by Grinter. Actually produced by Grinter and Steve Hawkes, who played the main character, who ends up becoming this thing, but we'll talk to you about that here in a moment. It was also written by Grinter and Steve Hawkes. I guess these guys were buds somehow. Anyway, some more facts. Steve Hawkes, after this masterpiece, went on to, or actually before this maybe, I'm not quite sure. Actually before this, I think he starred in a series of Tarzan films in Spain. It was before or after, I'm not quite sure. But anyway, if you recognize this guy after watching the film, and you watch a lot of Spanish Tarzan...
Because there's people just clamoring for the Spanish Tarzan series.
Exactly. I know, right?
No.
No, they're not.
No.
Well, maybe people in Spain, maybe they were huge Tarzan nuts. I don't know. Maybe.
No.
I don't know. But anyway, this film was shot in Florida.
Oh boy,
it was
in Florida.
Right. You can go there probably.
He's stumbling in the same swamp the last idiot was stumbling through.
Exactly. There's a lot. Yeah, I'm seeing a pattern here with these horrible films filmed in Florida. Must have been cheaper to make them there or something. I don't know. Maybe it's the tropical locale. But anyway, this film was originally rated X due to the violence.
Which I just... I can only violence. It was, I guess, for the early 70s, sort of violent. The actual decapitation of a live turkey was pretty gruesome.
That was gruesome. I agree. I was kind of like,
But
okay.
Everything else was just sort of.
I like to think that after they killed that, someone had a nice Thanksgiving dinner.
Well, I'm assuming that's the one that they cooked.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. So even though they killed an animal on camera,
you're not going to get PETA certification. No animals were harmed for this film,
right? Because they absolutely were. The cast, amazingly enough, was made up of acting students from Brad Grinter. Yes, Brad Grinter, the director, narrator, writer, blah blah blah. His acting class that he taught. This man taught acting. Recruited these students.
I'm assuming that the school folded, and
probably after this film was released.
Acting class. Oh God.
I know the things we dig up on these films, and it just blows my mind, honestly. So anyway, let's get on to the plot. I guess we'll throw a few more facts in there.
Well, let's just talk about the opening.
The opening, okay.
The opening is just bubbling water that's been dyed red or has got a red thing, and then it's got the title on it, and that's it. It's
nothing too
starring
amazing.
One name starring what's his face?
Steve Hawks?
Sure, whatever.
Steve Hawks.
Yeah, that was it.
Hawks.
And that's the entire opening credits, and then it goes to really, really bad handheld, shaky cam.
Yeah, it's bad.
Let's
not forget the groovy musical sound.
Oh, the music.
Too,
music. Wasn't that also by this same guy? Didn't he do the music too?
You know what? I don't even know. I thought
I read something about that.
You're probably right.
I just don't even.
I'm going to trust that you're right because that's a fact that I did not gather.
Yeah,
and it was. So that's why we're a team. See?
And so it was bubbling one line, and then a very guy riding a chopper reminiscent of the Easy Rider motorcycle.
That's kind of what it called to mind when I saw it.
And so obviously already we got I'm assuming the stereotype of a person riding a chopper would be a person who did drugs, since Jack Nicholson and Peter Fonda did drugs during the Easy Rider.
So they had to sort of rip that off.
I'm assuming so.
You take a successful film like that, and then you knock it off and hope people come to see it.
Well, I mean, you're never knocking it off. You just got a guy on a bad motorcycle.
Right, well, that's about the extent of the knock.
Horrendously unbalanced and badly made, and, so...
Yeah.
That's not good. And he stops, and he stops on the side of the road to look at this girl. She pulls over. I thought
having car trouble or something.
But he does nothing. She just gets up and caresses the hood of the car, then they jump back out and they drive off.
Apparently that's all it took.
The car needed teased or something? Oh, baby.
Yeah,
it's not like it's a Model A. Hit the hand.
Was it a living entity, this car? I don't know.
Tickle the front of it.
So the biker showing up really was pointless. Well, except
everything
for them to meet.
Everything was pointless.
Yeah, it was kind of bad. But let's not forget, at the very beginning of the film, we do have the narrator kind of opening up the whole
thing. Richard Boone looking mother.
Yeah, and did you notice he's obviously reading the entire time?
Oh, I mean, you'd think an acting coach would be able to, I don't know, do something as simple as remember one's lines.
Right.
No, the man is staring there as a single camera, and he's sitting there sucking down cigarette to cigarette, rambling weird stupidity.
Yeah, it really is.
And looking down at the table every 2 seconds to look at what he's supposed to say next.
Right, no cue cards in the camera area. He's actually glancing down at the table every couple seconds.
Edward R. Murrow looking at the news, on the table.
That's kind of what I was thinking too. Like, at least try and make it look like you're talking to the to the camera, but no, he was constantly. He might as well have just been staring at the table the entire time.
In essence, he was. Continue on.
So anyway, after he sets up the narrative, we've seen the biker meet the girl, blah blah blah. They end up following each other back to the girl's house or her sister's house. I'm not quite sure. Her folks' house, maybe. But anyway, there's a party going on with all of these sort of hippie people.
They're not even
around.
hippies. I mean, they're just weird-looking people. There are only a couple people who actually look like hippies.
That's true. That is true.
And they got a very disgusting, sleazy-looking, convincing drug dealer.
Yeah.
They have a couple hippies that show up later. But the people who are sitting around snorting and smoking and stuff are just these very strange-looking early 1970s. I'm going bald, and that's something we just sort of had to deal with before the age of a acceptance of a shaven head or budget for a bad wig a la Shatner.
Right.
So everybody's just male pattern baldness apparently was like the bubonic plague because everyone except for helmet-haired Stephen Hawks, he's the only one that didn't have some.
He's
sort
got
of
quite the head of hair, quite the super pompadour. I mean, it
was a giant Evil Knievel hair looking
it
pompadour,
really was.
Sideburns thing. So I guess that's the other reason that this woman was attracted to him is that you have hair.
He still has hair on his head. And did you notice several of the people at the party were actually quite old? I mean, you get a lot of older looking people there.
Again, I mean, if you have your acting class, these people are really good. They're looking for their break in South Florida.
That is true.
Entertainment capital of the universe.
Right. It's sort of like the little Hollywood.
Where are they trying to think? What kind of jobs do they think they're going to get in Florida? Are they going to work for Disney World?
That's about it.
Disneyland or whatever it is down there. Whatever, fascist corporation thing it is. I'm not sure what it is.
Right, one of those.
Disney. We'll just call it
popping
Disney.
up everywhere, folks. They're all over the place.
Walt Disney hates us all. He laughs at us from the seventh ring of hell.
Yeah, he's doing that. Actually, this is nothing to do with the film. I ran into a gentleman the other day at the store, and he was actually telling the customer in front of me how they had saved Walt Disney's head, frozen,
sure,
and all of this stuff. And of course, I had heard these rumors years ago. I don't know if that's true. It sounds ludicrous. I don't know. But anyway, he was thoroughly convinced it was true, and he was really trying to sell it to this customer.
What's he on the head? He just goes, I want your head. You want your head frozen? Was this Dahmer?
No, he was just spewing out.
Keep your head in my refrigerator.
Spewing out
so
facts,
pretty.
trying to sound important. That he was a nice guy, but the lady looked at him like he was insane.
Like he was insane. I want to cut off your head and keep it in my refrigerator. Insane.
Yeah, maybe in retrospect, that's kind of how she was looking. Because even his fellow co-workers were behind him going,
do you not carry a gun in case you run into someone like this?
Right. So I don't know if she's going to be a return customer, this lady, but yeah, that was...
No, but anyway, why didn't you shoot him? You're trying to take the head!
Right, exactly.
Highlander. What the hell? Well, Disney was an immortal.
Right, not anymore. So anyway,
this is a much more pleasant diversion than this movie. But go ahead.
That is true. Oh yeah, the movie. What was? Oh yeah, Blood Free, from 1972.
Sure.
Anyway, they go to this party. We talked about that. They had drugs. Blah blah blah. Worst acting ever.
I hope you don't do drugs.
Right. See, the sister that had the car issue. She's very religious.
Don't you know the body is a temple for the Holy Spirit?
And that is about the quality of acting you get in this film. Her sister, of course, is the complete opposite, into the smoking pot and partying and, of course, the typical...
A woman of loose morals.
Right, a woman of loose morals.
What about adultery? Oh, God wouldn't mind if we banged. What?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, God wouldn't mind if this film burned up in a fire because honestly, for me to say it's a bad film because I do appreciate bad films and I didn't hate everything about this film, but the acting, I gotta say, this is bad acting. It's just terrible acting, terrible writing and acting. So
and filming and camera and lighting and effects and what else? What else is the sound?
Sound was not so great.
What else is the bad part of this? Everything.
I think just the...
Everything was bad. So, the seductive whore of a sister is trying to get Steve Hawks, whatever.
Right. Herschel is his character. We have Steve Hawks,
the Evil Knievel looking dude.
Right,
So, yeah, she's trying to get him to take drugs, and then some other blonde girl who just sort of disappeared afterward try to get him to take drugs, and no thanks, not for me. That's that, and they get
Very
mad
cool,
at him.
cool as a cucumber.
They get mad at him for that, and then they get mad. He doesn't do it, and then I hope you don't listen to my sister. She's a real holy roller.
Holy roller, that is the term she used, right?
And so you're just a drag, just dumb. Everyone's mad that this guy who's, I mean, let's be honest, is good 1.5 feet taller than every other
Huge
man.
He's a very large man. He is.
And muscular. Not gonna lie, I mean, very big dude, tall. Actually had his hair.
Yeah.
I understand why they wanted him. The pickings were slim.
Right.
I'm not gonna have this guy over here who looks, like 120 years old with really bad glasses. Or I'm gonna have the other guy who played Tarzan, who looks suspiciously like Tarzan in Spain. So,
I'm sure you got that a lot in Florida. Too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Hey, wait a minute, that Tarzan.
Oh, yeah,
right?
yeah, sure. Where were we? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They leave the party after being at the party for absolutely no reason.
Right.
And then they go.
He
Where
ends
did
up.
they go?
Well, according to my notes, he ends up at a pool. Now,
No. You had the.
he meets.
No, before that, they had to go to the other person's house and offer them the job.
To the father's house.
That was the father?
That was the girl's father who owned the turkey plantation or whatever you want to call that, farm or something like that.
Sure.
Because
the poultry farm.
He hooks him up with a job,
right?
Because he seems like a nice young man.
I like your way of thinking. You mean with my brain? Like everybody else? I'm interested in what you have to say. You should ask the Lord for things. You can ask God for a job. This is the quotes here, people.
Yeah.
This is the quote. You can ask God for a job. Well, I have need for a husky young man. Whoa!
The movie just took
back
a
off,
major-
George Takei. We don't need this.
Big turn right there.
All of a sudden, it's Kevin Spacey, running around. I have need for a husky young man in my turkey farm. That's a lot of coded message. I have gay friends. If they say that to me, I'm running. I'm just going to say, they told me to. They told me, someone says, you're a husky young man, and I have need for you on my poultry farm to run.
That just screams fear, man.
Oh, that screams,
that
screams prison rape.
Danger.
That's what that is. This is code for prison rape.
Yeah. But this husky young man did not run. He accepted the job with great gratitude.
Next week. You can wait till next week.
Yeah.
Then the next day, he's at a pool.
Doing some cleaning. Was he
the pool,
cleaning the pool for the guy?
And then the whore of Babylon.
She shows up
and tries to seduce him in her 1960s bikini.
Right.
And then she gives him a marijuana.
He finally accepts. He caves.
He caves because she called him a coward.
She did. She called his bluff. She said he was a
you're
coward.
a coward. Oh.
And Husky Joe could not stand to have his pride crippled like that. So
right.
He caved into the pressure.
Uh-huh.
And immediately after he did that, he was immediately hooked.
Well, we didn't know that, though.
We didn't know that initially. That is true.
Because they end up sleeping together.
Yeah.
Well, passionate scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure that's another reason for the X rating. Oh,
yeah, even though there was really, there was nothing to it, but...
There was nothing at all.
Just a lot more bad acting, really.
Oh, just... God. So, then the next day he gets up and he's mad because this is the next day, not the next week, but apparently the next day it was the next week where he needed to go to poultry farm.
Maybe it was a Sunday or a Saturday when he was talking to the guy, and the next week, I don't know how.
He was laboring on the Sabbath?
Stranger things have happened in this film. I don't know. So yeah, he starts working on the poultry.
No, he's introduced to the idiots.
Oh, these two babbling lab workers are.
Yeah. So they're introduced to that.
Right.
We'll tell you what to do until we can figure out what to do with you. Now, all right, reach back in your memory.
Yes.
And you have two of them. You have one stereotypical Coke bottle glasses guy with the beard.
Right.
Okay, fine. But then you have another guy, kind of a weird, squinty-eyed dude.
Yeah.
It reminded me an awful lot of a foster kid that you guys had at your house. Darnell, what was his name? What was his name? Do you recall?
I don't know if we should drop names like that on the show.
Oh yeah, because we're just everywhere. We're number one with a bullet, baby.
That's right. Was it Franco?
I don't know.
It may have been.
Whatever. The little weird kid that lived with you. That's
right.
This could have been his father.
Gotcha.
You know, because kind of squinty-eyed and high forehead and just sort of, and again, a rare acting talent.
Yeah. As a goony type of
what's this?
Shady. These guys were shady lab hands.
What was that guy's name? That sounded great.
We'll talk after. We don't need lawsuits or anything. Yeah.
Oh yes,
But,
we can be sued for someone reminding me of this guy.
Hey, you never know in this day and
Given
age.
the fact
You know a good lawyer.
No. Given the trajectory of that kid's life, I'm fairly certain he doesn't even own a computer.
Oh my gosh. What were we talking about? Oh, a movie. Yeah, it was a film.
I'm trying desperately to change the subject. All right, so
that's why I'm here to
so after
pull everything back together.
After Papa Poultry Farm
hands out a job,
leaves, they're like, you look like you're not afraid of much. You do drugs? What is this fear and drugs?
I don't know, but apparently everybody dealt in drugs.
Well, only if you weren't afraid. Only if you weren't afraid.
That's true.
And so then after that, it's we'll give you more drugs. So talk of the bonus, and then they say, if you want a little extra money, we can take part of our experiments. Now, just in case you're ever at a poultry farm,
take notes.
That also happens to be a scientific lab
for some reason,
and some guy that looks like, I don't know, he's 3 steps off of Neanderthals, offers you to take part in experiments. You should probably say no.
Just say no.
But then, what do we have to do? I just eat food. You have to eat food. Now, here's a question.
It doesn't sound so bad.
If the only thing he has to do is eat this food, eat the turkey, to make sure it's safe, and the only reason they have to have someone do it is because the government requires someone test it.
Right.
Why aren't they eating it? Are they vegans?
Right, I doubt it, judging especially by the one guy's,
bulk,
physique, bulk.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So they're just. Why aren't they eating it? Why is the Papa Poultry Farm? Come here, Husky boy. Why isn't he taking a taste of it?
Right. What's the issue?
They won't. No, let's get somebody else.
Yeah. We can pay cash and sweeten the deal with drugs, and they participate in this.
Sure. You look like you've done drugs.
Right.
Oh, and then, there was a. This movie is also interspersed with the narrator, and it's not just once or twice; it's just interspersed.
Right.
Lots, and so I think it was right before the meat testing thing. We get to hear from him again. The Richard Boone looking dude that shows up and narrates gives us a little exposition of how a person's life is shaped and blah, 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 blah. Just keep going. And then, as he's smoking what can only be his 68th Pall Mall, looks right at the camera and goes, right on. This guy is not cool enough to say right on. Never.
Nah, he's really not.
No, he's not. And so, again, he had to look at the cue card taped to the table before he looked up and said, right on. With cigarette dangling in his hand. Yeah. Okay. Anyway,
he accepts the job as the turkey eater.
Yeah, and then...
And he ate the whole turkey, did he not? Like, literally.
Yeah. So they bring him to test the turkey. Now, okay, if you have to test something, you think that, okay, I'm going to slice you off a little bit, I'm going to bring it to you. Well, eat somewhere nice, like a kitchen, maybe with a lamb.
Right, that would be.
No, this guy's sitting at a picnic table underneath an overhang out in the middle of Florida humidity, which is doing wonders for his hair. And some fool brings him a whole turkey,
An entire turkey,
and then says this. Oh, let me get you a fork and a knife. You didn't think to bring him. You bring him a Thanksgiving feast, and you didn't give him a fork and a knife to begin with.
Right.
Now later on, during some hallucination, they're tearing apart a turkey with their hands. I wouldn't eat the turkey if the dirty hippies touched it.
No, tainted meat.
Oh,
Sorry.
Yeah, probably tastes like a taint.
Purell
Anyway,
or something.
What?
Need some Purell or
That's
something.
not what I said. Tainted.
Yes.
Tainted. Anyway, so he goes back home. Why am I continuing to narrate this? Oh, I'm trying to get over with. That's why.
Trying to speed things along. I
Oh,
suspect.
dear God. So I can go home and drown my memories in tequila. Now
He becomes very ill.
Oh, he starts having withdrawal.
Yeah.
Now, I don't do drugs, nor do I advocate for drugs. I'm a libertarian, and I see the reasons that.
So you like books?
The criminalization of the decriminalization of certain drugs or all drugs could be beneficial to the economy on several different levels, and there are pros and cons to that. I am also an attorney, and I have dealt multiple times with people who have partaken in cannabis and other drugs. And I can say with all honesty, there has never been in the entirety of recorded human history a person going through withdrawal because he smoked one freaking joint. Oh my God, Reefer Madness didn't even get it this wrong. This guy starts going now, and it's not just like, oh, I kind of want more drugs. This guy goes through an American Werewolf in London level spasms.
He really does.
He's falling all over the place. He's screaming. He's flexing his muscles, popping out the veins. And I expected him honestly at any point to say, "Oh my God, I'm burning up," and rip off his shirt and bare his butt and turn it, because it literally. That's obviously.
I actually think when they made American Werewolf in London, they were copying that scene.
They're copying that and the effects.
Pretty much the same effects.
So then they had to call in the drug dealer and the horror sister. I don't know why I'm doing that. She seemed like a nice enough girl.
Yes.
Anyway, so she calls the drug dealer, and he brings over a joint, and the guy smokes the joint and calms down, and all is well with the world. Now, again, I've dealt with drug addicts. I've dealt with people going through actual withdrawal. I've seen these things. I've researched these things. This is part of my job. And again, despite the fact that no one's ever gone through withdrawal for having a marijuana. He took a marijuana, and now he's going through withdrawal. He's puffing this thing like George Burns during a bad joke, and just going, and then he's calmed down and fine. Now, even if you're a junkie and you're going through withdrawal and you're actually sweating balls and just going crazy, shooting up does not make it immediately better. You still have to wait till the whole thing gets in your system.
It sort of has to process, right? It's an entire thing.
And so then he threatens the drug dealer. You're going to supply me. You got me hooked on this stuff.
Yeah, he's going to kill him if he does not.
Break every bone in your body.
Yeah. That goes over well.
No, man, the drug dealer is going to supply him.
Yeah. Or die.
I guess, well, no. Just break every bone in his body.
Well, yeah, that's really not the same as dying.
Not
Just
dying.
living in sheer agony, maybe.
Well, I mean, I guess if he broke the bones incorrectly in the neck, I mean, that would be...
Could, yeah.
He should be selective.
There's potential of death.
He should be selective and do it slowly, one at a time.
One digit at a time.
Exactly. So, then... Was it the next day?
It was, yes.
That he turned... Yeah, please continue.
Okay, after this all happens, and he has ingested the turkey, of course we already talked about all that, he begins convulsing, we talked about that, and then guess what happens?
Well, no, this is the second convulsing.
Well, this is the second.
The second convulsing, which you have to understand, this guy throws himself down on the ground and tries to imitate seizures.
Right.
And he's just sort of sitting there just shaking his arms as hard as he can. What you really need to do if you want to amuse yourself, if you actually do want to just endure this, find this online. Go to that scene. Just sort of scroll through till you find that scene where he's shaking. And separately, play some Misfits music. Or just like, and he's just shaking out to the
thrashing to the beat.
That's punk music. That's actually kind of what it looks like.
Early I agree with that, yeah.
Yeah. And so
70s version.
Yeah. Then he
actually after the convulsing is sort of when he begins to change physically.
That you go back to him disappearing and you go back to the lab monkeys.
Right, because his body's gone. Because these lab monkeys, don't they dump the body? Kind of like, oh dear.
The Coke bottle glasses is walking around outside, filling out forms. Because all science is conducted in the outdoors while walking.
Yeah, that's good.
Because God, you wouldn't want anything to be slightly illegible when you're talking about serious scientific method. What is that? A 3, a 7, or a Q? Who knows? It's all the same.
Who cares? It's all filled out.
Yeah. And so then this guy puts the one of the worst gawking reactions in recorded cinema.
It's abysmal.
It's Captain Kangaroo did better with that. And so, and then they dump the body. Well, he goes to call for help, but he stops and strokes his beard. Right, like he's contemplating.
Like he's
contemplating.
Well, what are we going to do here?
Is this going to get me in trouble? Right? Then they tell Papa Poultry Farm, you're a husky boy. That they dumped the body. Why did you dump the body? Well, we were scared. You should have seen him. Okay.
Don't help the guy. Just throw him in the weeds somewhere.
Yeah, throw him in the weeds. My cousins almost did that to me one time.
Oh yeah,
that was a different. That was a different story altogether.
It was a different time. There was no turkey involved, right?
No, there was alcohol involved though, and I was 5.
Oh, well.
You wonder why I'm so maladjusted.
Right. Family.
So, I don't have trust issues. So,
now it all makes sense.
Then the lab monkeys are like, we don't want the cops coming here with the Missing Persons Bureau asking questions. We're not involved with anything if we just take off. And I'm saying this as close as humanly possible to the actual effects of the chat that these people are having. And so they're just like, we're just going to leave. And then Coke Bottle looks at Squinty Joe and says, sometimes I think you're the brains of this operation. I'm assuming it's supposed to be a joke, but everyone appears so stupid it could be probably true.
Yeah, it could have been quite serious.
So, yeah, then the transformation happens. You don't see it.
No.
Everything becomes very dark for a very long time.
It's not like a real cool Jekyll and Hyde effect where the hair starts growing and face change. It's nothing at all. I
don't even remember seeing anything happen.
No, it didn't.
Then you got the horror sister. Again, she seemed like a very nice lady. She's laying down in the dark, and you just can't see anything. This is as lit. It's like Helen Keller was the lighting technician on this film. I'm assuming you couldn't see anything. Ray Charles back up. I'm not sure. So you sort of get a glimpse of this turkey chicken. I don't know. He just got a big pecker. So he's
a husky.
He's a husky
boy.
Yeah, come here at the poultry farm. So she screams and then faints, and the camera never moves, and then the things just go on forever. And apparently he went over and wrote a note.
Yes, he can only communicate by writing, because as in turkey form, we'll call it turkey form, he can't speak. He just makes gobbling noises.
Oh, that's convincing too.
Half turkey now.
Sure.
So from now on, we can call him Turkey Man throughout the rest of this.
Sure. So Turkey Man needs drugs, and then here's the thing. So this scene, which goes on far too long, she starts talking about this guy who she met last week. Well, what if you never wears off? What if we get married? What will our children think of their father? What if the children look like their father? What will the children think if they look like their father? Oh, wait, now hold on. Now you're just jumping in the sack with one dude after another, and now all of a sudden you're talking marriage? Back off, lady!
Yeah.
Going a little fast there.
Fast.
So, she wants to get married to a turkey. Again, attracted to his big pecker.
Well,
yes, I'm in third grade. I'm in third grade. This is the level of my humor.
But in your defense, when you see the man's face, you will understand the reference.
Yeah. It is a paper mache.
Absolutely.
Really bad. It's supposed to look like a turkey. It really doesn't look like a turkey. It looks like some sort of bird.
Right, turkeys are ugly, and so is this thing, but they don't look like the same thing.
With bulbous fish eyes and an unmoving mouth and
understand the eyes at all. They're very, I don't know.
Yeah, it was not good. I just sort of lost interest at this point.
Once he actually became the monster,
I could take no more. My best recollection, and again, I'm doing the best I can to suppress these memories, but my best recollection is that he just sort of goes on a killing spree because now, and it's never explained in the movie.
Right.
It's inferred, but he's killing people who are doing drugs and then drinking their blood. But by drinking their blood, I mean he hangs them upside down on a ladder, which I'm assuming they just get on the ladder and hang themselves because you never see their feet.
Right.
You know?
Sort of a
hang by their knees.
move.
And then he pokes at the throat with a rubber knife or a butter knife or something, and then the gallons of fake blood that they have stuffed up their shirt pours out over the throat.
Right.
At which point he tries to cup it. Now they don't ever even show him put it in his beak. It's just sort of like grabbing it. If you look up, he's addicted to the blood of addicts.
Right.
That's what he now craves. Instead of drugs itself, he wants the blood of the addict, but it's not explained.
No, they never explained that. That's something I came to the conclusion of towards the end. I thought, well, maybe he's doing it for the drugs in their system, but they never come out and really directly say that.
I guess it's hard to smoke a joint if you don't have lips.
Maybe that's the reason.
So, was there more to it than that? Did I miss a whole bunch?
I don't think you really did.
Okay.
He hung the girl upside down.
Because it all seemed to happen. It was all like one after another, after another. Didn't seem to be any break in this.
No, that's really kind of true. Okay. There's a scene.
Well, the last break, I suppose, is where the sleazy drug dealer is calling his supplier.
Yes, exactly.
And I want the bread. I got the dough. You owe me the bread. I got the dough. Give me the bread. I got the dough.
This is the conversation back and forth.
Do you have the dough? I got the bread.
Exactly. Apparently,
you owe me bread. I need the dough.
I don't know.
Okay. So he goes over. The guy, sleazy Martini, does not give him the full money amount. He's short $75 he owed from before, but he has a bartering system. The whore sister, again, she seems like a very nice lady.
She does, very very peaceful.
So she's passed out on the bed, and so the sleazy drug dealer goes, "Well, look, I got a girl in the next room. You can have her. Take it off my bill."
Right, exactly. This is the system they're using to barter here. This woman.
I didn't realize that this was
non-consensual.
I didn't realize that women could be used as bartering tools.
No, I think probably they shouldn't be. I pretty much guarantee they shouldn't be.
If this was something if this is something that allowed, maybe I would have gotten involved with the drug trade when I was a teenager. I can have women if I give you drugs. Really?
Oh wow! Yeah. Well,
I mean,
you hadn't seen this film yet. You hadn't seen this film.
It was an option. I didn't realize.
A good thing. Right.
So they're raped for drugs.
Yeah.
So he goes in,
exactly.
starts molesting this woman.
Yeah, and
And
at first she doesn't realize it's this sleazy guy. She thinks it's
Because she's asleep.
her boyfriend or whatever she's calling this, main character.
Her fiance, apparently. What if we get married?
Yeah, even though he never consented to this or anything.
Well, he can't really say no, can he?
He really can't. She's kind of got him. She's got him there. He can't speak, so she's kind of got him on the hook now.
So she wakes up, sees it's super sleazy, bald supplier, and then screams.
Right.
I don't know if he actually choked her out or choked her to death or whatever.
I don't know. I think
He was going to snap her pretty little neck, twist her little neck.
Yeah.
And then he sees outside this house the turkey man
gazing.
But then he runs out of the house and is somehow in a abandoned warehouse district of a metropolitan area.
Yeah.
I don't remember there being a whole lot of bungalows in the warehouse district.
No.
Complete with jungle backyards.
Right.
But yet, he goes out, a la Doctor Who, goes to a completely different...
All these buildings and warehouse.
Yeah, and then the turkey catches him and then turns on a bandsaw.
Yeah.
And then cuts off his foot. I didn't realize that, I'm guessing this is where Stephen King actually got the inspiration for The Misery. Because, not the movie. The movie, he only hobbled him in the book.
But
she cut his foot off.
I think you're probably right. He probably saw this film.
I'm sure he did. If I were the estate of the idiot who wrote this, I would sue Stephen King for the...
for doing that.
Yeah. And then...
Yeah, and the guy screams for like a minute straight after this
just
happens.
the
So I'm assuming you would scream, but...
Well, you're not going to... It doesn't tickle!
I would think I would probably black out before a minute has... I don't know. Maybe not. I've never been...
I don't know. But here's the thing, and this is where it was almost amusing for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Guar fan.
Right.
Now, this guy apparently was an actual amputee. So
I was going to bring that in. Fantastic.
So they cut off a fake leg. So he's actually sitting there, holding a stump, and it's spewing blood everywhere. At which point the turkey gets under it and just starts like slathering himself in the blood. It is like a Guar concert. It really is. Where the cut is just spewing everywhere.
Shower of blood.
And the screams are just as convincing at the Guar concert. And there's just people are just smearing themselves with it. To what end? I'm not sure. Then the two hippies that had been previously asked by the horror sister. Again, she seemed like a nice girl. I don't know why I'm saying this over and over again.
Because she was.
Yeah, well, apparently they were out trying to kill him.
Misguided, I think.
She was out. Apparently they were out trying to kill this guy. And
right.
It took them half the movie to track him down, and then they just find him in the middle of the... Again, he walked away from the downtown metropolitan area to the jungle. And they just happen to have a giant sword, machete, something. I don't know.
Yeah, because they often carry those around.
Well, most hippies do.
Yeah, they're violent. It's a violent lot, the hippies.
Apparently. And then he's like pleading. And I'm assuming pleading to be killed because he's a monster.
Maybe. Who knows?
Because
again, he can't speak.
I don't know.
They should have given him a tablet.
But then they give him a whoosh. There's seriously, they hear the whoosh. Then they go to footage of a turkey who had just been decapitated.
Yes, an actual
flopping around, bleeding all over the joint.
Right.
And they linger.
That scene lasts a little too long, right?
And they linger.
Turkey, yeah.
And they linger. And they linger. And then finally, they just cut to the turkey's head. And then the implication being that they cut off the turkey monster's head. Right. Then you see the turkey monster's head, and it is the mask has seen better days. It's
been through
broken,
a little bit of abuse,
broken and deformed. And there's a turkey next to it, and everybody's just tearing off chunks of the turkey, like a cooked turkey, next to a giant turkey head. Yeah. And again, this is the thing. I wouldn't touch this since the dirty hippies had been filled it up.
Yuck.
Then it wakes up. It was all a dream. It was a hallucination brought on by the marijuana.
It was.
Yeah.
It was all a horrific nightmare induced by the use of drugs.
Yeah, but then here's where we go.
And overeating.
Here's where we go, where it damaged my faith.
Do tell.
Well, was it Papa Poultry Farm, Come Here Husky Boy that found him? It was.
I think it might have been, actually.
Yeah, so then he calls Angel, the good sister, who calls Anne, the whore. Again, seemed like a very nice lady. And tells them they found this guy and that he's, on the marijuana and possibly overdosed. They're going to take him to drug rehab. It's revealed that this guy apparently had been wounded in Vietnam and that had actually been on painkillers and been addicted to that, and then continuing to self-medicate, and that the reaction was because he was already an addict. Now, I could get this sort of behavior if we were talking about opioids, if he was shooting heroin or freebasing cocaine or for the modern time, snorting Oxy or doing a little E or looking a little Molly. Apparently, I had a lot of experience with this stuff.
This is a public service announcement.
Oh, it's something. But no.
Oh, it really is, though.
He had taken a marijuana, and and so that's what caused him to fall to pieces. And then after, again, the first part of this where, the first party where she's, don't do that, don't you know your body's the temple for the Holy Spirit? And then talking about, I like the way there's a lot of Christian references. Then it's like, you need to ask God to forgive you and help you through this. At which point, Steve Hawks, Turkey Man, breaks down and cries to the Lord and has this big heartfelt prayer. And that's where I lost my faith. I just can't be associated with a God that people believe this is glorifying to. I'm kidding, obviously. But this film
is no. You're not going to learn anything from this film.
If you think the Left Behind movies were over the top and bad and ham-fisted in their gospel sharing, this was so much worse. And then we go back to Richard Boone-looking dude smoking what could only be his 78th pack of Marlboro Unfiltered.
Yeah.
He gives a little preach. He gives a little speech. And then he coughs up a lung.
And they leave this in the film. At first I thought, did they do that on purpose?
Editing.
Or...
It's called editing.
Yeah.
I mean, if you cough, okay, if you're smoking that much, but it just keeps coughing and 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 keeps coughing.
How about we cut a few frames out at the end, and it looks like you finished your speech.
It's not like he finished his speech after he coughed.
That's true.
He just kept coughing.
At that point, I think the cameraman finally just turned off the camera and called the paramedics.
No, I think what happened is
this guy's
I think
not doing too well.
I think he gave the cameraman his lung cancer. It came out of his mouth and went to his eye. Cameraman got the lung cancer to the eye.
That's a whole other movie.
Fell over.
Because it was.
If you're going to be preaching about drugs, guess what? Tobacco's a drug.
Exactly.
Just saying, if you're just.
And this guy, man, hard and heavy. 86. This was basically an 86-minute public service announcement that this guy had concocted to try and draw you in, and then at the end give his little spiel on what he, thinks. But it was just not well executed. And
executed. That's a good idea for most of these people. Execution.
Execution. Line them up, right?
Oh my gosh! So
hang them upside down from a ladder, and
it was just
turkey.
That's another.
But the man and the girl do get together at the end.
I forgot about that. The happy ending, because he was like, That's right. He said, "Let's give it our own happy ending." Was your happy ending?
Splutter.
Happy ending mean you get a lung transplant? I'm just wondering there.
That was his happy ending.
I guess
He
so.
took the funds he hoped to raise from this
Then
film.
you have the music only, where this woman is just standing on the pier for no reason, and this guy shows up for no reason, and I don't know, did he track her? Is this like, this is pre-cell phone, how do you ping her?
I have
location.
no idea.
And then they hug.
Stalker, well,
Then they hug,
Stalker.
and then everything's great. I guess she's going to give him her horror ways. Again, she seemed like
They
a
frolic
nice
together
lady.
to the sounds of acoustic guitar.
Yeah. Okay, and I actually have to say,
Yes.
a lot of the music was actually not badly produced.
It wasn't bad, no.
Some of it was not, was fairly well. It didn't really go with the
With
movie.
what was going on, right.
But as far as actual music, certainly some of the better horrible nonsense I've heard.
Yeah, no, we've... Zat, for instance. Hippie music in Zat was way worse.
So,
some of
I gotta give whoever it was just a little bit of credit. That wasn't horrible.
No, it wasn't.
That wasn't horrible. Everything else was. Everything else was.
Everything
else was, and
I'm even saying that.
And so here we
the
come.
music was by Gil Ward, by the way.
Okay.
If that tells you guys anything.
Not really.
Musical director.
That's where I was getting is the film editing by Gil Ward. So music and film editing by Gil Ward.
There we go. So shout out to Gil Ward
and music department Gil Ward. Well,
so if this
another
somebody did something right on this film, Gil Ward did okay.
Another chink in our friendship. Another notch against me ever coming back up here to do this.
Well, hey, you love this. This opens our eyes to some lost classics, masterpieces, whatever you want to call them. Right? Am I right?
No, you're not right.
No,
you're not right. You're very wrong. Maybe as wrong as you've ever been.
Oh, one more quick trivia fact. Heather Hughes, who played, which one was she? She was Angel. Now, was that the naughty girl or the naughty girl?
That was the good girl.
The good girl, Heather Hughes, Angel. Okay, she was also in a movie called Devil Rider, as well as a film called Flesh Feast, also directed by Brad Grinter. And those are both from 1970. If you're interested in checking those out.
Well, I'm not.
I probably am not either, to be honest. But,
well, we need to wrap this up, and
right.
so
I use a saran wrap.
Yeah,
Foil. You prefer foil
for our green peppers?
Green peppers, you got to keep them fresh.
That's right. I'm Shane.
I am Patrick,
and this was Peyton Green Peppers' possibly final podcast.
Happy Thanksgiving.